10. Leonard getting tied up at 5. Fred VanVleet, he drills the 3. And Steve Kerr. It was tough to get this win without Klay. The Raptors win 123-109.
Well, the whole point was to not risk a bigger injury that would keep him out of the rest of the series. So that was the decision we made. I feel very comfortable with it. Never would have forgiven myself if I played him tonight and he had gotten hurt.
I think wisdom prevailed in terms of this is a potentially 7-game series, and you'd like to take advantage of tonight, but his overall health is important in terms of not taking away the rest of his of the series with something catastrophic happening. So hopefully he's back for Game 4.
No one cared that guys are hurt. Everybody want to see us lose. So I'm sure people are happy they're hurt. We just got to continue to battle and win the next game, go back to Toronto, win Game 5, come back to Oracle, win Game 6, and then celebrate. Fun times ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it will be fun times for the Warriors if it goes like that. Entering the night, the Warriors had a plus 195 scoring advantage by starting shooting guards in the finals under Steve Kerr. They were minus 14 in Game 3 without Klay Thompson, tied for their worst margin during that time. You got to think if they get him back at least, they're in a much better chance. All right, Jalen Rose, he is here. Always a tough call.
J. Rose!
First of all, to decide whether or not... I knew that was coming. I was just waiting for it. It's a tough call to decide whether you're going to sit Klay Thompson. And you had even said it was probably the right move to do. But now that you know everything that happened, the Warriors are going to lose the game, what do you think about the move?
So, again, I said coming into this series, I'm no fool. If the Golden State Warriors are healthy, that means KD's in the lineup. That means Boogie playing like he did in Game 2. I would have picked the Golden State Warriors in 5. But being at the NBA Finals, Laura, I get a chance to see these dudes off wax. I see Klay Thompson limping to and from the locker room. I see Kevin Durant limping to and from the bus. And I felt like those two guys, in particular last night, would not be a factor. That's why I came on this amazing program yesterday and said Klay wouldn't play. So everybody that saw the show yesterday, they didn't need to see the bottom of the ticker right before the tip-off. I told them Klay was not going to play. And I heard Draymond Green say they're going to win the next 3 games and celebrate. Not so fast, my friend, as my guy Lee Corso would say, because I don't believe Kevin Durant is going to play in Game 4, okay? And while they did beat the Golden State Warriors without Klay last night, for those that haven't been paying attention, they beat the Golden State Warriors in Game 1 with Klay in the lineup. The problem for the Golden State Warriors, RJ, J. Will, they're not defending anymore. The Toronto Raptors shot over 50 from the floor, 40 from 3, and 90 from the line. That's something that 7 players have done in the season. They were the 3rd team to do that in the playoffs. The third team. Okay, so yes, Kawhi got his 30, and you can kind of book that. But what about Kyle Lowry? He was amazing the entire game. And I love the bad boys reference, Jay Will. What about Danny Green? He was making shots, jumping towards the backboard and still hitting them. How about Serge Ibaka in the second half, blocking everything? Marc Gasol scored 17 points. So it was a total team effort. And you ready for this? They dominated the Golden State Warriors, and their fans celebrated on their home floor.
Oh, well, you pretty much covered everything that we've been talking about this morning.
That was the game recap.
That was it.
Right
That
there.
was impressive. One of the things we've been talking about here is that no one has ever really been concerned about the Warriors, but now that we're getting to this space right now, we're still questioning the health of both guys. No more Looney. Are you kind of in that mindset that, I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion, but that the Toronto Raptors, like, this is their series to lose. Like, it is under their control. This is no longer a Warriors-controlled series.
I've already said the Golden State Warriors have 3 championships. This season, no KD, no rings. Because here's the thing. He shifts the balance of power. The Golden State Warriors are an amazing dynastic situation. But Kevin Durant makes it unfair when he's out on the floor. You guys know when you go to the park, usually the two best players pick teams. Well, Kevin Durant joined Steph Curry, and he had 47 last night. He looked like he was playing at Davidson. He looked like Jay Will at Duke. Who else was going to make a play? Everybody else was hesitant to shoot. I know y'all saw Draymond Green shoot 2 air balls. I know y'all saw Boogie Cousins shoot an air ball. Okay, and I don't think they should have started Sean Livingston because he's not a floor spacer. That gave confidence to the Toronto Raptors. I know you wanted to show the champion and the vet love, but he doesn't spread the floor. Where was Andre Iguodala? He was really non-existent, in particular in the second half. The Toronto Raptors have confidence going forward.
All right, you did mention KD, and Jalen, you're going to be with us here for a few more minutes, so let's get to that. The rumors of Kevin Durant's return. Steve Kerr says he's put together a few really good workouts, and he's expected to do some scrimmaging with members of the Golden State staff today, maybe even some G League guys. Here's what our friend Wendy had to say about it.
The uncertainty going into Friday is crazy because we're really not going to know how Durant's going to be until after he goes through that practice tomorrow. And by the way, the Warriors are not going to practice. So they're going to have to rally up like their guys at the end of their bench, their two-way guys, their G League guys, some coaches to create a practice environment for him. So he's not even really going up against a real practice. So then you got to see how he bounces back from that. Then you got to see how Klay's hamstring is. Can he run around? Can he run the 3 miles he normally does on Friday?
Yeah, big question right there, and we'll see if it's answered. Mark Spears says this on Durant in this tweet. When asked about playing in Game 4, injured Warriors forward Kevin Durant told the Undefeated, "I will know more in the morning." Okay, so Jalen, when you hear about this, and you're there, so you're seeing all of this, what do you think, I see you shaking your head, about whether or not KD comes back as soon as Game 4 and really what's going on here?
I think he's not playing. That's what I think. You didn't hear, "I'm feeling a lot better. I'm getting closer to participating. I can't wait to be out there with my guys." He's been out a month, Laura. You don't be out a month and then all of a sudden have one practice against G League type competition. Oh, and by the way, they don't have to look far for G League players. They got like 4 or 5 of them on their team. That's not the issue. The issue is he going to be able to play against Kawhi Leonard, who scored 30 points regularly in the NBA playoffs?
But Jay Rose, here's my thing though, and because we talked about this at the desk, I'm curious to get your opinion on this. So if he doesn't play in Game 4, that would probably make you pick Toronto to win Game 4 due to the fact that Klay isn't 100%, right? So then you're going to drop him back into Game 5? Like, is that the first game that you need Kevin Durant to play in when it's a chance for Toronto to close out the series? His first game back in Toronto?
That's a great point, Jay. And you put pressure on him now. It's one thing to come back from an injury and your team is playing well and they can ease you back in the lineup. See DeMarcus Cousins in Game 2. But we're not talking about DeMarcus Cousins after Game 1, and we're not talking about DeMarcus Cousins after Game 3. It's going to be an adjustment for a great player like Kevin Durant. He's a range shooter. He's a versatile scorer. We all know what he's accomplished the last couple of seasons. However, he's coming off a big-time calf injury, and he's been out a month, okay? So we have to see how that's going to play out. And practicing does not simulate games. Both of you guys know this. You think Steph Curry practicing? He scored 47 points last night.
There are no practices in the NBA Finals. There are no practices in the NBA Finals.
RJ, you played with the Warriors.
Yeah, there are no practices.
You played with the Warriors. Klay not going to be practicing. Steph not going to be practicing. Draymond Green is not going to be practicing. So you still can't ease him back into the lineup.
Yeah, no. So my thing is now, with all this information that we have here, do you think that they even have a chance if they lose one more game, or even if it's tied, do you think that the Warriors have a chance to actually win this series, given all of this stuff going on, all the injuries, healthy, 70%, 60%? Do you think they have a chance?
We both picked Toronto to win it. So that says that.
What?
We both did.
All
And
right.
also, yes. And I want to dispel something. This idea that Kevin Durant could come back at 50% or 75% and play against Kawhi Leonard on the other side, who isn't 100% himself, but I saw something that I had not seen from the Claw in maybe 3 games. He actually dunked on somebody. He hadn't dunked in the last couple of games. He was actually looking for the refs to bail him out in the first 2 games. Sticking out his knees, sticking out his elbows. He wasn't explosive. Last night, he was more explosive. He was driving downhill. He made a couple of good passes. The Toronto Raptors picked up a lot of steam in winning Game 3, and it's up to the Golden State Warriors to find a way to get it back.
Jalen, I want to get your opinion on something that we brought up earlier in the show, that KD, for the longest time, hadn't felt like he was really wanted or that he was really the savior. I guess everybody wants him, but could he ever be the savior for a team? Now, he's a savior, even to your point, at like 50%. Do you think that that's a thing? And also, if it is, how does that affect free agency for KD and the Warriors even potentially?
Well, I've always anticipated win, lose, or draw that KD was going to leave. I never seen him sit down in front of the media or talking to a microphone and say, oh, I'm really grateful to be in Golden State. I want to be here a long time. I came here, we won 2 championships. I won back-to-back finals MVPs, and these guys embraced me. Steph Curry took a step back. Draymond Green took a step back, and they allowed me to become a champion. He hasn't said that. So I don't see a guy that's going to risk the opportunity to play in a championship versus nurse his injury. And rightfully so. He's going into free agency. I think he's going to get his big deal right now. This thought that, oh, maybe he's going to stay and sign another 1-year deal. Why would he do that? He could get $200 million to play basketball. Why would he do that? He's going to go somewhere where he feels like he's the lead dog. That will never be the Golden State Warriors, because this is clearly Steph Curry's team. He's the one that's going to have a statue in San Francisco, not Kevin Durant.
All right, let's talk about Steph Curry a little more, because he does love Golden State, as you said, and showed that on display last night. He actually had written 30 letters to people who meant a lot to him there in Golden State, even before this game. Obviously, the Oracle important to them too, and he continued to show why he's so great in that stadium as well.
They made 12 threes last night. He made 6 of the 12.
The stuff he does is he does things that, honestly, I don't think anybody has ever done before. The way he plays the game, the way he shoots it, and the combination of his ball handling and shooting skills, it's incredible to watch. He was amazing.
Did you have a little extra sense of urgency in terms of scoring, as opposed to times when maybe you would distribute if you had all of your pieces on the floor?
For sure. Yeah.
Steph's like, yeah, I'm just over here carrying the whole load. He scored 47 points in Game 3, second most in a loss in NBA Finals history. LeBron scored 51 points in a Game 1 loss last year against the Warriors. All right, Jalen, what did you make of Steph's night as he tried to carry that team and everything that you saw him do? He went off, especially in that first quarter.
So remember at the end of the previous game when a lot of people were keying at the fact that the Raptors played a boxing 1, including Steph Curry, who called the defense janky. And each one of the Golden State Warriors who got interviewed, they talked about how it was disrespectful, how they hadn't seen that defense since they were in middle school or in high school, or it was something that wasn't going to work in the NBA. Last night on the floor, Steph Curry was the only player for the Warriors that was a knockdown shooter, the only floor spacer. So now all of a sudden, if you're able to make him give the ball up, because the only way they would have won is if he would have went for, you ready for this, 81. That's the only way they would have won. Because
That's doable, right?
every time he passed the ball, there were reluctant shooters. McKinney, Livingston, Iguodala, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins. None of those guys were a threat from the perimeter. So it was Steph or bust, like he was in college. And last night, that was the result that allowed them to come up short.
Jay Rose, when they won their first championship, 14-15, a lot of people were talking about Stephen Curry being the best player in the world. Did last night's game put this into perspective for you about LeBron James and how he had to win 2 games in that series without Kyrie Irving, without Kevin Love, to show you the difficulty of how it is to carry that load in those type of games to win those ball games?
No doubt about it. And you guys know this. The more that you play and the further that you advance, the more your weaknesses are going to be exposed. Because these guys are just really good at basketball. This is the NBA Finals. The best coaches, the best scouting departments. And Steph Curry, he was amazing last night. But where was his help? Just like LeBron James. There was so many times we watched him play and was like, wait a minute, Matthew Dellavedova got a big contract playing with LeBron James? I haven't seen him since. I just watched the Milwaukee Bucks play in the playoffs, and he wasn't even out there. That lets you know how LeBron James was dominant. So that did, Jay, remind me somewhat of what LeBron was able to do in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're not going to see Delly playing for Milwaukee because he plays for Cleveland now. But that's
there you go.
There you go. They sent them back to Cleveland. No, they sent them back to Cleveland, right? No, but I'm with you. Like Delly almost died. Delly almost died trying to keep up with Steph in that series. But no, it does become very, very difficult for a guy and guys that have a different skill set. A James Harden, a Giannis. These guys that are just horses. It is much, much easier for them to carry it than a great shooter and a great scorer.
I'm not listening to anything you're saying after your point.
What? What was my?
It was so ridiculous.
Jay Rose, don't let him do you. Don't let him come at you like that, Jay Rose.
Jay, don't let them come.
Are you kidding me?
Come between us.
He's a legend.
Don't let them come between us. I was just helping them out. That's it. And players need help.
Hey,
now listen. Hey, go ahead, Jalen.
He just made my point for me, Jay.
Exactly. You're right, Jay. You're right, Jay. You're right.
Wait.
You're right.
Before we let you go, Jalen.
I work in the national media. Guys that average 6 or less, I may or may not pronounce your name right. I may or may not know where you play. That's just kind of how this works.
I need to know really quickly, did you finish all those bags of chips that we saw you chugging earlier?
I did. It was my lunch.